Testing. Testing. Welcome back to Life in the Weir-View. Alright, so right now I want to talk about a little bit of my experience. I took another trip. This was my second trip to the Philippines. Happened this past November. Originally I was wanting to surprise my fiance. That didn't work out, and I had to go ahead and tell her ahead of time because of some job changes she was making, things that were going on. I couldn't keep the surprise, but that worked out probably for the better. We wound up, she was able to help pick the place that she wanted to go for her birthday. So what we did, I flew up in November, and we met up and then went to a party, kind of a party. We went out to eat with her brother and some friends, and we had a good time. I'll have a little bit of the footage, and I'll tell y'all in the video footage. I'll have maybe a picture of where we went, but everything worked out pretty good. We hung out at the mall until supper time. We could get our reservations, but we did get some pictures. I got a little bit of video I can share with you on that first day, and I'm gonna have to break the trip up into maybe 3 or 4 videos. After we went to her birthday celebration there in Manila, we went to Tagaytay, just her and I, and I'll talk also a little bit in those videos about some of the things we ran into, some of the good points, some of the bad, kind of give you some information, and maybe help you out if you're trying to decide what you could do kind of in those same areas. Editing. Been editing all night, yo! Alright. So some of my frustration with the new trip. I know my chair makes a ton of noise. Gotta love it. It's a comfy chair. Anyway. So, obviously, I'm trying to conserve money because I also have a wedding coming up next year, and I need to save money for that, right? I went for the absolute cheapest option that was available, and I searched and hunted. I am from the Baton Rouge area, and I gotta quit saying so I'm from the Baton Rouge area, and New Orleans would be the closest airport. But if I found out that if you check on Houston, the international airport, and are willing to drive about 4.5 hours to Houston from where I live, the flights are much, much cheaper. So overall, it wound up a lot cheaper. I used the Skyscanner app to search for my flights and to book my flights, and it was $574 US for my ticket. That was round trip. It gave me 7 days in country, but of course the layover times I'll get into. Alright, so what happened? What had happened was, being that I was going for the absolute cheapest option, I also didn't read a lot of the baggage fine line, I guess. When I got to Houston, I'm really glad I took 2 bags, right? I had, well, actually 3 bags if you count. I had my backpack, which counts as your storage underneath your seat in front of you. I had my regular carry-on bag that goes in the overhead compartment, and then I had a checked bag, right? So I had debated bringing the checked bag because my stay was only going to be about 7 days, and I was like, I might get packed. And then, you know, they have a lot of washers there, places you can get your clothes washed and stuff and go pick it up. So I could really bring maybe 4 or 5 days in a carry-on, get it washed at some point, I'd be okay. I decided to go ahead and bring both pieces of luggage for the check-in and on the carry-on, just in case. Very glad I did. My checked baggage was very light because like I said, it was so close to bring it anyway. But my carry-on was really not heavy, but I didn't read the fine print because I only was going and looking at the cheapest possible flight. I didn't look at the airline baggage rules. When I got there, the guy told me I was only allowed 13 kilos for both of my bags, my backpack and my carry-on luggage together, 13 kilos. So after my frustration, I left out of the line, had to go do some changing around. I took some things out of my carry-on baggage, put it into my checked baggage, which still had plenty of room in there. But I had almost emptied my carry-on bag. But still together, just my backpack. I even took a few things out of the backpack. But the backpack and the checked bag together were still over the 13 kilos. So it was crazy. I told the guy finally, I said, look, I have a laptop and cameras in this backpack. And I'm not taking that out. That's not going in my checked baggage. That's going with me. And then he said, oh, you have a laptop? Yeah. So then he said, oh, okay, well, I guess you can take that then. And he went ahead and did it. I was still at like 14 something kilos. But my one bag, my backpack, was almost, I want to say, it was close to maybe 8 kilos or something, just for the backpack, because of the laptop. You know, I had a laptop and a tablet. I had a battery power bank, which they won't let you put in checked baggage anyway. You have to carry that in your bag on the plane. That's not allowed in checked baggage for the power banks. So anyway, there was nothing else I was willing to trust to take out. So he went ahead and marked it, and I took it. Everything was fine, getting all the way to China. One thing that I have come to find out, I made some other videos when I landed, but I was not aware that it's actually a rule in China. It's not just the Air China, which is who I flew, Air China. I was very upset, very frustrated, because they would not let you use any devices for the entire flight. Most airlines will say, you know, put it in airplane mode while we're takeoff and landing, or, you know, turn it off during takeoff and landing. But once you're in the air, once everything's going, most airlines have Wi-Fi. If they don't have Wi-Fi, but they'll at least let you use your device if you got to work on business documents, or you want to watch the videos you have downloaded instead of you watching the videos in the headrest, right? And it's a very long flight, right? You're talking 9, 10, 14 hours, depending on how long, where you're going, which way you're going. That's a long time. And they don't always have the best selection of movies. You maybe have a few of them you really want to watch. Everything else, but you get trapped because they won't let you. And I had my phone out once, just playing a game for a few minutes. And sure enough, the stewardess, she came along and asked me to turn it off. Really, I didn't realize that's actually Chinese law, that you cannot use devices for any airlines going in and out of the country. The most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But you can actually get in serious trouble if they tell you to put it away and you don't. You could get banned from ever flying in and out of China, all the kind of craziness. Anyway, so that's something to consider if you have to go into any of the countries kind of in that area. If one of your layovers is in China, you might not want that to be the long haul to get there, because you won't be able to use your devices. And that's very aggravating, very frustrating. And anyway, so then when I got to China, right, now most airlines also, when I fly, now granted, I've not been outside the country except for in April. I went and we went from New Orleans to LA to Tokyo and then to Manila. That was such a smooth, easy trip. There were no problems. Most airports, even in Japan that I went to, though, once you went through the main checkpoint, that was it. You were done. However, in China, right, you get there, you have to go around, you go through security, the customs deal. Then before you get on the plane, they had more tables set up, and they check your bags again. Right? So with most airlines, right, you cannot bring your own liquids in. So any drinks, any food you've bought while you were there in the airport, you've bought it from their vendors, you're allowed to take it onto the airline. But not in China. In China, they check again before we got onto the airplane, and they wound up taking away I had a couple of bottles of water that I had purchased, right? And they wound up confiscating those. That's after, during the initial checkpoint, they confiscated a power bank. It had the sticker on it, but it didn't list the wattage. Now that had made it through every other security checkpoint, but in China, they're very serious about all the electronics. They make you take everything out separately. Like here in the U.S. and other places I've been, like in I think Japan, they just made me take my laptop out. That's most places. They take the laptop out, right? In China, I had to take all the tablets, cameras. If you had an umbrella had to come out. Everything electronic-wise, power banks, and it had to be all, like it couldn't lay on top of each other, so you could put multiple things in a tub, but they couldn't lay on top of each other. So you wound up with a whole slew of tubs, and then you got to collect all this stuff back and put it back in your bag when you get done. But overall, I made it where I was going. It was a 15-hour layover, which was miserable because the Wi-Fi was garbage in both going and on the return. The Wi-Fi in the Chinese airport, everybody I talked to was having problems. They have a kiosk. You can scan your passport, and it gives you a code to log into the Wi-Fi. None of the people around there, we were all scanning our passports, trying to get it to work every time I went. We could not get on. You could go to customer service. They would give you a password. Customer service, they weren't very good with English, so they couldn't help you a whole lot. No place in there sells SIM cards that you could use while you're in China. Say I want to get a SIM card, I'll load it up with X amount of minutes so I can use it while I'm at the airport. No, it's not available. There's no Best Buy kiosk or anything like that to be able to sell you a SIM card for one of the local networks. There's 3 options for logging into the airport Wi-Fi. It's free Wi-Fi, but you have to use either the WeChat app, which I could not download because I couldn't get onto the internet, and you can use your boarding pass, but we weren't sure because I talked to a couple of other guys that were having problems with the internet. We weren't sure if they were looking for like Chinese written numbers or what, because we entered all our boarding pass information multiple times and it never would work. And then when you would go to when you go to customer service, they would give you a password and it would work for like 2 seconds, just long enough that all your emails and all of your, like for me, I use Messenger to talk to people while I'm traveling. All of that starts dinging, right? It's popping, it's going off. It's, oh my goodness, look at all this information. I need to respond. You click something to respond, whether it's an email or a message in Messenger, boom, internet's gone. You can't get in touch with anything. It was a headache. It was a nightmare for a 15-hour layover. I was actually, for 15 hours, I was planning on, if I could have had internet, I was going to get in touch with a travel agency and see if they had a tour that would, because I know I found some online before I left, but I didn't purchase the plan ahead of time, but they'll pick you up at the airport and take you out, and you can go see the Great Wall or some of those other sites, some of the temples, the Lost City or Forbidden City. Anyway, I was wanting to go do some of those things, but couldn't. I didn't trust getting out the airport when I had no way to communicate. And anyway, so just things to think about when you're traveling through, especially if you get a long layover. Make sure you've pre-downloaded enough movies on any of your tablets so you have plenty to watch, and maybe some books to read, whatever. I have a Kindle tablet, which I love, and I use that to watch movies and everything when I travel. Look at all those fingerprints. Anyway, so things to think about when you're going that way. I've made this way longer than I wanted. So, thanks for watching. I'm going to continue the adventure and have actual pictures and videos of what all we did coming up in the videos to follow. So, to be continued, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.